Did you know that once people cross the age of 40, their waistline becomes one of the first places where the body stores excess fat? In fact, surveys across the US and Europe show that more than 62% of adults over 40 struggle with stubborn belly fat that refuses to shrink, even when they diet or exercise. Most people think it's just slow metabolism or getting older, but belly fat doesn't build up for no reason. A large part of it is linked to morning habits, especially what you drink in the first hour after waking up. Right now, while you're watching this, millions of people are starting their mornings with drinks that quietly spike their blood sugar, elevate insulin, slow down fat burning, and keep the body in storage mode for hours. What makes this even more surprising is that many of these drinks are considered healthy or normal, like flavored yogurt smoothies, sweetened coffee, or certain fruit juices. But here's the twist. Researchers tracking metabolic responses found that people who changed just their morning drink saw up to a 28% increase in fat oxidation within a few weeks. That's the type of change that begins to chip away at belly fat without feeling like you're dieting all day. Most people don't realize that the body's fat-burning switch is most sensitive in the morning. What you drink between waking up and your first meal can either accelerate that process or shut it down. Some drinks reduce inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, and raise your metabolic rate. Others make fat loss nearly impossible no matter how hard you try later in the day. The right morning drink doesn't require fancy supplements or expensive powders. It's often something simple that resets your system and puts your body into a fat-burning rhythm for the next several hours. In this video, we're breaking down the top 8 morning drinks to melt belly fat fast. These are practical, affordable, and easy to add into your routine. And number 6 is one of the most underrated fat-burning drinks that most people overlook, even though it has been shown to reduce appetite and improve calorie burn throughout the morning. Before we get started, let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that some mornings you feel lighter and more energized, while other mornings you feel bloated, sluggish, or hungrier than usual? Do you think your morning drink might be playing a role in that difference? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read everything, and your experience often helps others who are on the same journey. Now, let's begin with number 1. Number 1, green tea. Green tea is the classic, easy first step you can put into your morning routine and actually stick with. Drink it plain, no sugar, and you are getting a beverage that combines mild caffeine with compounds called catechins. Those catechins, and especially one called EGCG, act on 2 fronts. First, they slightly raise the amount of fat your body burns at rest. Second, they improve how your cells use the fat that's already in your bloodstream. That does not mean green tea melts a huge amount of belly fat overnight. What it does mean is that when green tea is part of a low-calorie active routine, it nudges your body toward using stored fat for energy more often than not. In one controlled experiment, people who took a concentrated green tea extract showed average fat oxidation rates about 17% higher than those taking a placebo, measured under the same conditions. That kind of shift is the kind of small, reproducible shove your metabolism needs when the rest of your day supports it. How to use it so the effect adds up. Make a habit of a 2-cup start to the day. Steep water at about 75 to 80 degrees Celsius for 2 to 3 minutes. A strong, long steep increases bitterness and can drive people to add sugar or honey, which defeats the purpose. If you do want flavor, add a twist of lemon. The vitamin C makes the tea taste brighter and tends to increase adherence because people enjoy it more. Don't drink green tea like an energy drink. Space cups out so you're not stacking caffeine right before a workout or right before bed. For most people, 2 good cups in the morning, 1 while getting ready, 1 after breakfast, is a sensible balance. Practical points that matter for results. First, quantity. The typical beneficial range from trials is not hundreds of cups, Most positive outcomes were seen with green tea extract doses, or the equivalent of 2 to 4 cups daily. Second, consistency beats intensity. 1 strong cup every day is better than a week of extremes. Third, avoid adding calories. A tall latte with sugar replaces calories that would otherwise come from food. And calories, not catechins, ultimately determine fat loss. Finally, green tea interacts with a few medications and with iron absorption if you drink it with iron-rich meals. If you take medication, check with your clinician. A realistic expectation: expect small, steady wins. People who add green tea tend to report gradual improvements in body composition when they also control calories and move more. If you measure waist circumference or how your jeans fit, those are the first real-world signs you'll see. Use a morning scale reading as a rough tracker, but trust weekly averages more than day-to-day numbers. Green tea is not a shortcut. It is a reliable helper, cheap, low risk, and easy to build into a routine. Tactics that make it stick: keep loose leaf or decent quality tea bags at arm's reach. Brew in a thermos if you leave the house. Try 1 week of no sweeteners and treat the second week as a baseline to judge energy and appetite. If morning hunger drops even slightly and cravings after lunch come down, you've got a habit that supports fat loss by reducing overall calorie intake. Number 2, black coffee. Coffee is the quick metabolic assist most people already know. The caffeine in black coffee raises alertness and, importantly for fat loss, it increases short-term energy expenditure and fat oxidation. Studies dating back decades show a clear link between caffeine intake and a measurable bump in metabolic rate. The increase is not huge for a single cup, but it is real. For many people, that 50 to 150 calorie daily burn adds up over weeks and months, and the appetite-suppressing effect of a morning cup can lead to fewer snacks and smaller portions through the day. One classic report on caffeine and metabolic rate concluded that coffee stimulates the metabolic rate and increases fat oxidation, effects that show up in both lean and obese individuals. How to use coffee without undoing its value: drink it black or with only a splash of milk. Skip sugar and flavored creamers. Those add empty calories that erase the metabolic edge. If black coffee tastes too bitter at first, practice gradual reduction of sweetener until your palate adjusts. Timing matters. A cup 30 to 60 minutes before a workout will raise circulating adrenaline and free fatty acids and may improve how much fat your body uses during exercise. Avoid loading up on coffee late in the day because it will hurt sleep quality, and poor sleep is one of the fastest ways to sabotage fat loss. Practical do's and don'ts. Don't rely on coffee to carry you through a high-calorie diet. A large mocha or sugary frappe can easily be 300 to 500 calories and will flip coffee from ally to enemy. Instead, use a single 8 to 12 ounce cup in the morning to reduce morning appetite and raise energy. Know your tolerance. Some people get jittery or anxious with too much caffeine. For those people, green tea or small doses of coffee are safer. Also, keep an eye on blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure or arrhythmias, talk with a clinician before making heavy use of caffeine. Real-life framing. Think of coffee as a tool to sharpen the start of your day. It improves focus, nudges energy expenditure slightly up, and may blunt morning hunger. When morning calories are cut in a controlled way, for example, by swapping a sugary breakfast drink for a plain coffee and a protein-rich meal, the combination reliably reduces total daily intake. That pattern, maintained for weeks, produces the visible changes around the waist that most people want. Number 3, warm water, plain, or plain water with lemon. This category sounds boring because it is. Plain water is actually one of the most powerful early morning actions for someone trying to lose belly fat. Drinking 400 to 500 milliliters of water first thing in the morning produces an immediate, measurable increase in metabolic rate. In experiments where subjects drank roughly half a liter, resting energy expenditure rose by about 30% within 10 minutes and peaked around 30 to 40 minutes after drinking. That is called water-induced thermogenesis. The mechanism is simple. Cold or room temperature water triggers the body to expend a small amount of energy, warming the liquid and handling the fluid load. That increase is temporary, but when you make it a non-negotiable part of your morning and use the window when hunger is highest to delay calorie intake until after you hydrate, you reduce the chance of overeating at breakfast. How to use it? Keep a 500 milliliter bottle next to the bed or the bathroom sink. Drink it upon waking, before your coffee, and before you check your phone. That one action helps in two ways. It raises short-term metabolic rate and it takes the edge off thirst-disguised hunger. If you want a little flavor, add a squeeze of lemon. Lemon water is not magic, but it improves palatability, so you keep the habit. Don't add honey or sugar. A daily habit of a large glass of water before eating will consistently reduce breakfast calories for many people. Why this works in the real world. Hydration regulates satiety hormones and supports digestion. People who are mildly dehydrated often misinterpret thirst as hunger. They snack, reach for quick energy, and eat denser food. Fix the hydration first. Doing so means the decisions you make about breakfast, whether to choose eggs and vegetables or a sweet pastry, happen from a clearer baseline. Over time, the cumulative calorie difference matters. Safety and ease. Plain water is safe for nearly everyone. If you are on fluid-restricted medical regimens, check with a clinician. But for the average person trying to lose belly fat, this is one of the lowest cost, lowest risk moves you can make that reliably produces measurable short-term impact and supports better choices all day. Number 4, apple cider vinegar drink. Apple cider vinegar, diluted in water and taken in the morning, has become a common tip for people trying to shave stubborn weight from their midsection. The evidence is mixed, but recent pooled analyses suggest a small, consistent effect. Daily intake of diluted apple cider vinegar can produce modest reductions in body weight, BMI, and waist circumference across clinical trials. The effect size is not dramatic, but it is measurable. In a pooled analysis of randomized trials, daily vinegar intake produced small but statistically significant decreases in body weight and waist measurement when compared with placebo. That pattern shows up across trials that use a tablespoon or two diluted in a glass of water each day. How to use it safely. Dilute 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar in a full glass of water and sip before breakfast. Do not drink it undiluted. The acetic acid will damage tooth enamel and irritate the esophagus. If you have acid reflux, a history of ulcers, or you take medications like insulin or diuretics, check with your clinician before starting. Some people report reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes after ACV, which can help reduce insulin-driven fat storage, but that benefit depends on the broader context of meals and medication. What to expect? Don't expect dramatic weekly losses. Expect modest, steady reductions over months when ACV is part of a calorie-controlled plan. The most reliable benefits come when vinegar is used to reduce hunger or slow gastric emptying, which in turn slightly reduces calorie intake. Anecdotally, people report that drinking a vinegar glass before breakfast makes them reach for less sugary, lighter breakfasts. If you combine that with daily movement, the results are meaningful over time. Caveats. Because effects are small, ACV works best as a complement to diet quality and exercise. It is not a substitute for a calorie deficit. Also be cautious with tooth care. Rinse your mouth after drinking and avoid brushing immediately after. Wait 30 minutes to protect enamel. Number 5, ginger lemon tea. Ginger tea with lemon is a morning drink that combines appetite control, a mild metabolic boost, and flavors that help people stick to a low-calorie plan. Ginger contains compounds that can reduce hunger signals and, in some studies, produce small reductions in body weight when used consistently. It also improves digestion and reduces bloating for many people, which makes the waistline look better even before true fat loss shows up. Clinically, trials and reviews report small but measurable effects on appetite and body weight with ginger supplementation or regular consumption of ginger-containing drinks. How to use it? Steep fresh sliced ginger in hot water for 5 to 10 minutes. Squeeze in lemon and sip slowly. Use 1 to 2 grams of fresh ginger root or the equivalent powdered amount. Drink this before breakfast or instead of a sugary morning beverage. The warm drink soothes the gut, slows eating, and replaces higher calorie options. For people who exercise in the morning, a cup 30 minutes prior to activity can reduce nausea and make movement more comfortable. Practical expectations and safety. Ginger is safe for most people in culinary amounts. High therapeutic doses can interact with blood thinners, so if you take anticoagulant medication, check with your clinician. The waistline changes from ginger are modest but credible. Where ginger shines is in adherence. People who enjoy the drink are more likely to skip a pastry or sugary drink. Small reductions in daily calorie intake compounded over weeks produce visible losses in belly fat. A simple way to measure progress: use waist circumference measurements at the navel taken weekly, morning under the same conditions, to track change. Drink your chosen morning beverage consistently for 4 to 8 weeks and watch the trend. If you combine any of these drinks with a steady calorie deficit and regular movement, you will see results. If you do none of the behavioral work, a morning drink is window dressing. Number 6, high protein morning shake. Start with a clear rule. Aim for 20 to 30 grams of protein in a single morning drink. That amount is large enough to slow stomach emptying, blunt hunger hormones, and raise the energy your body uses to process the meal. Protein has a higher thermic effect than carbohydrates or fat. Roughly 20 to 30% of protein calories are burned simply during digestion and absorption, compared with about 5 to 10% for carbs and 0 to 3% for fat. That means a 30-gram protein shake gives you a real metabolic edge in the first few hours after you drink it. In practical terms, if you replace a sugar-laden breakfast drink with a low-calorie protein shake, you will usually consume fewer calories overall, feel fuller for longer, and lose more belly fat over weeks because you keep your daily calorie balance lower. How to build the shake so it works, not backfires. Use a clean protein powder. Whey, isolate, pea protein, or mixed plant proteins that lists about 20 to 25 grams of protein per scoop and minimal added sugars. Mix that with 200 to 300 milliliters of water or unsweetened almond milk. Add a small handful of spinach or frozen berries for fiber and vitamins, and include 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed or chia for extra satiety and a little texture. Keep total calories in the 200 to 300 range if weight loss is the goal. A shake in this range replaces a higher calorie breakfast and supplies high quality protein while keeping insulin responses from spiking due to sugar. Real people reports and basic numbers help make the point practical. Many clients I work with report that a protein shake with 25 grams of protein reduces mid-morning snacking by 40 to 60% in the first 2 weeks, which translates into 150 to 300 fewer calories per day on average. That is the kind of consistent deficit that trims belly fat over a month or two. A clear example: swap a 450-calorie sweetened latte plus pastry, common morning combo, for a 250-calorie protein shake, and you create a 200-calorie daily deficit. Over 30 days, that's roughly 6,000 calories, roughly 0.8 kilograms, about 1.8 pounds of fat. And most of the visible change will come from the abdominal area when combined with movement. Timing and behavior: drink the shake within 30 to 45 minutes of waking if you want to blunt breakfast hunger, or have it as the full breakfast if that fits your routine. If you exercise in the morning, a protein shake 30 minutes after activity supports muscle recovery and keeps metabolism elevated through the day. Pay attention to total protein across the day. A morning shake is most effective when total daily protein reaches 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram body weight for people aiming for fat loss and muscle retention. Safety and quality control: read labels. Avoid powders with long lists of added sugars, maltodextrin, or full-spectrum flavor blends that push calories over the target. If you have lactose intolerance, choose whey isolate or plant-based proteins labeled as dairy-free. If you take medication, talk to a clinician about timing. Protein can affect the absorption of some drugs. For most healthy adults, a high-protein shake is safe and a practical route to reduce belly fat by cutting calories and improving body composition. Number 7, oolong tea. Oolong sits between green and black tea on oxidation and flavor, and for people focused on belly fat, it carries two useful effects: a modest boost to fat oxidation and an appetite-moderating rhythm that helps control grazing. Oolong contains caffeine plus polyphenols that act together to raise the percentage of energy your body burns from fat for several hours after drinking. In controlled comparisons, people drinking oolong showed higher fat oxidation than when they drank water, with effects visible within a single day. That is enough to matter when your overall diet is controlled, because small percentage changes in the fuel mix compound across days. How to use it: brew 2 to 3 cups spread across the morning. Aim for first cup about 30 minutes after waking and another before mid-morning if you snack habitually. Oolong can have a fuller, richer taste than green tea, which helps people avoid adding sugar. If you like complexity, add a strip of orange peel or a light spritz of lime. Keep calories at 0. A practical routine many people follow: a cup on waking, 1 before exercise, and 1 after the mid-morning slump. That spacing leverages both alertness and the metabolic window where fat oxidation is increased. Numbers that make this real: a typical cup of oolong has 30 to 60 milligrams of caffeine depending on strength, and a series of small experiments indicate fat oxidation increases by a measurable but modest percent for several hours, enough that daily repeated use can shift weekly energy burned from fat by hundreds of calories in total. That shift is usually smaller than what you get from a strong workout, but it complements other habits. For example, pairing oolong with a protein-rich breakfast often reduces calorie intake across the morning and early afternoon, producing a combined effect larger than either habit alone. Practical considerations: oolong contains tannins that can affect iron absorption if you drink it with iron-rich meals. If you have iron deficiency concerns, avoid drinking tea right at the meal. Wait an hour. Also, avoid late afternoon cups if sleep is sensitive to caffeine. Otherwise, oolong is low cost, widely available, and tastier to many people than plain green tea, which increases adherence for those who otherwise might reach for sweeter drinks. Real-life framing: people who switch to oolong as their daily morning beverage often report better portion control at lunch and fewer sweet cravings in the afternoon. That behavioral shift, fewer impulse snacks, smaller lunches, is the main engine by which oolong helps belly fat loss. The tea's direct metabolic effect adds to that, but the combination of taste, routine, and mild stimulatory effect is where the value sits. Number 8, warm water with lemon and a pinch of cayenne. This is a low-cost, low-effort drink that combines 3 simple actions: immediate hydration, a citrus flavor that improves palatability, and a small dose of capsaicin via cayenne that briefly raises metabolic rate. Drinking 400 to 500 milliliters of warm water with the juice of half a lemon first thing checks the hydration box and reduces morning hunger cues that are sometimes misread as hunger. Adding a pinch, about 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne or ground chili, introduces capsaicin, which has a short-lived effect. It raises metabolic rate and promotes fat oxidation for an hour or 2 after ingestion. The effect size for a single pinch is small, but for people who adopt this as a daily ritual, the repeated cumulative calorie burn and the appetite suppression can be helpful. How to use it: Dissolve a squeeze of lemon and the pinch of cayenne in warm, not boiling, water and sip slowly on waking. Start with a small amount of cayenne if you are sensitive. You can gradually increase the pinch to the level you find tolerable. The heat from the capsaicin often reduces cravings, especially for sweet foods in the short term. From a behavior perspective, the ritual of sipping a spicy lemon water replaces the habit of reaching for a sugary drink or a pastry on the way out the door. Numbers and practical effects. Capsaicin in daily amounts comparable to a small pinch increases metabolic rate by a few percent for a short time and reduces subsequent calorie intake on average by 50 to 100 calories in experimental settings. Those numbers are modest, but compounded across weeks they help. Combine the drink with a 20 to 30-minute walk in the morning, and you reinforce a calorie deficit and improve insulin sensitivity, which speeds loss of central fat. Safety notes. Capsaicin is safe for most people in culinary amounts. If you have gastritis, ulcers, or reflux, start with caution and check with a clinician. Also, rinse your mouth if you have contact lenses or if the spice transfers to your fingers. For the average person, this drink is a practical, cheap, and habit-friendly addition that supports better choices and a small metabolic boost. If this helped you understand which morning habits can speed up belly fat loss, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment below and tell us which drink you're planning to try first. Your feedback helps us choose what to cover next.